But you see how much kidnappers are picking for victims and things.
The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once you get the support, your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition, midweek edition of Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television this morning. My name is Winifred Ubebo, and with me in the studio is our public affairs analyst, Samila Musa. Samila, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's been a while we hosted you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking our time to be here with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yes. We have 4 papers for review this morning, and that is Leadership newspaper, sister publication National Economy, The Nation, and Nigerian Tribune. These are papers for review on this morning. Of course, we are flagging off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. So let's see what Leadership is saying this morning. Fuel scarcity bites harder amid NNPC's assurance of 1 billion liters. Fuel scarcity bites harder amid NNPC's assurance of 1 billion liters. Motorists, commuters stranded, keep vigil at filling stations. Transport fares rise as 1 liter sells for 600 naira in Abuja, Lagos black markets. Scarcity may last for another 2 weeks, says IPMA. President in order query of NMDPRA head, says official. Fuel scarcity bites harder amid NNPC's assurance of 1 billion liters. Motorists, commuters stranded, keep vigil at filling stations. Transport fares rise as 1 liter sells for 600 naira in Abuja, Lagos black markets. Scarcity may last for another 2 weeks, says IPMA. President did order query of NMDPRA head, says official. Still on fuel scarcity, the sister publication National Economy is also leading with story on fuel. Let's see what National Economy is saying this morning. It says cost of transportation goods rise as fuel scarcity lingers. Cost of transportation goods rise as fuel scarcity lingers. Situation could create artificial shock in economy, statistician general.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that this actually happened, even though what we thought was actually the cause of this first scarcity doesn't seem to be the matter anymore, because if the importation of a bad fuel was actually the cause, and we also heard that so many ships after that have actually bathed in the Nigerian water to bring in fuel, which will more or less replace that one to quickly cushion in what is happening in the country. And yet this is actually even going higher by the day and getting worse by the day. The authorities have issued statements to say, oh, it's nothing to worry about, is this, is that, but yes, the reverse is actually the case. It's actually unfortunate. Sometimes you wonder, when will Nigeria really get it right in terms of fuel? We have this fuel just like in our backyard, just like something you can just use your cup to fetch, and yet we keep suffering all the time, for this. And I think the right way to go, because we keep saying this all the time, even though the authorities will keep, feigning to be deaf concerning that, is we have 4 comatose refineries, for crying out loud. For how long do we keep, taking fuel from Nigeria to go and refine it somewhere else? And I think it's high time to look into who are the beneficiaries of this, fuel subsidy regime, because some persons are actually enjoying that, taking it out, and bringing it back. That's actually where they are making their own money. And those kind of people will always be saboteurs. They will never want that to end. And someone who thinks that somebody with Buhari's experience with regards to petrol You know, he was once a minister of petrol. You know, he's been with PTDF, you know, former head of state and stuff like that. So you think he brings enormous experience into that industry. And of course, he's the substantial minister of petroleum. So, and you know, there's nothing really has changed. The only thing that has changed is that during Christmas, you no longer have fuel scarcity, which already we also know that is actually artificially caused. You know, so other than that, nothing really has changed. You would expect that there will be some major, you know, structural adjustments within that petroleum industry, which nothing has really happened. And that's why quite a lot of people are also calling for deregulation. Because if you deregulate, you will know that the first thing for you to do will be that those refineries will start working. And then if you talk about fuel subsidy, that will come over time. You gradually, it's not something you just remove at once. You gradually, as you are improving on the economy, you gradually start removing the subsidy in such a way that the impact will not more or less be felt, you know, the way it will eventually if you say you are pulling out subsidy at once. So I think it's an area that really needs urgent attention, because what Ipman is saying is that this will even last for 2 weeks. Already within this space of how many days, everywhere is already like hell. Transportation is high. When you get to every bus stop, you think it's a market. People are stranded, you know, because most of the motorists that ought to pick them are somewhere else trying to queue for fuel. People are holding vigils, you know, at filling stations. And what still is that some of these filling stations, they just sell about 20, 30 cars, and then they tell you that fuel is finished. And whereas it's actually there. Where are the people who are selling by the roadside? Where are they getting it from? They are not going to the refinery to get it. They are getting it from the filling stations. So you really don't know who actually is saddled with the responsibility of putting a tab on these people to know who has fuel and is not selling. You know, and I don't really think what's the idea behind, oh, we are not selling until 2 p.m. when you have fuel. When does that start? You know, everybody is acting as if you own yourself. There's no anybody to supervise or regulate the system. You cannot have fuel and give people time. Once fuel is supplied to you, you have to start selling. Otherwise, sanctions will come in. You understand? By the time they have 2 or 3 scapegoats, that even you can even sell the fuel for free. After all, some of them, when they are opening, the first day of their opening, they sell fuel for free for people. You understand? You can give everybody 20 liters, so that will send a strong signal that if you refuse to sell, you understand, the authorities are coming after you. So it's really sad, you know, because we don't really know how much this is going to affect the economy more, because already cost of things are already going high now, and of course you can't blame them. You know, even the common sales boy that usually goes to work with 300 naira now is 600. He himself is already looking at how can he pushing in for that, because if his guy is not increasing his salary within the space of this time, he needs to now devise a means. So really everything, because you see, fuel issue will always have multiplier effect.
Yes.
You understand? It goes you know, across the board on every facet of our economy. Really, everything goes high. Even your own staff, you can't get their full productivity because everybody's attention is divided. How do I get fuel now? Where do I go? Then you go and spend 6 hours trying to get fuel. It's affecting the work in the office. So really, quite a lot of things need to. Action needs to be put in place such that quite a lot of things needs to be checked so that the economy wouldn't go. I'm sure the food price that we're already crying about, before you know it now, that also will be affected, because the man will tell you that this is how much it cost him from supermarket to get to this place. So really, to transport it. So everything will be affected. And we're hoping the needful will be
just
done.
like what the statistician general said, let's see national economy. Let's see national economy. He says situation could create artificial shock in economy.
Yeah, you see,
I
that's
know he's saying in there.
yeah, of course, it's definite. It's definite, because everybody wants to maximize profit, or better still, at least let me not be at a loss, because you won't watch your cost of transportation to start eating deep into your own profit, you know. So everybody will now need to start adjusting and start sitting up, you know. I saw some people trekking this morning. I was asking where they go. He said, no, just to, you know, shorten the transportation. Like he wants to trek to so place so that at least by the time he gets to that place, the cost will have reduced. So really, it's really going to bite hard on every facet of the economy.
Now, Samela, last week we saw that many people bought adulterated fuel, which affected their engines and cars. Even a colleague was complaining yesterday that the fuel he bought also affected his car, damaged his car, that he was going to take decision concerning it. Now, no heads has ruled. What is happening?
No, that's Nigeria for you. I told you, or maybe somewhere else, I mentioned it. I said, look, nothing is going to happen. Everybody is going to look the other way. The people who did this, they are multi-billionaires. You understand? These are the touch nuts of the society. So you can't even, the person who wants to arrest them already, he has already received an alert. You understand? So what do you do? I mean, it's helpless. What we're just praying is that let something be done urgently. Forget about those ones. It's Nigeria. They bring it to to the news to say, oh, so person is arrested. It's a lie. You understand? You never get to hear anything about it. We saw how the people involved in subsidy scandal the other time. Where is the case? Did you hear anybody talking about them? Which court is handling the case? You can't even hear anything because these are touch notes. You understand? These are people who come to court. Perhaps if they have a place to even land their private jets, they will bring their private jets to come and drop them in court. So you really will know the set of people you're dealing with. That I mean, we've not gotten to that stage where we have a government that is actually ready or willing to actually put those kind of people in their place. And we also heard that bad fuel that was brought in, it will cost Nigeria about 200 billion naira to refine it.
Yes.
You understand? And then
At what cost?
you understand this 200. I'm sure that fuel did not cost up to 200 billion, and yet we're going to.
Yes.
You understand? We're going to spend 200 billion at the expense of the Nigerian masses, and this is what the kind of things we get. These people will go unpunished. Of course, they'll grease some people's palms, and that's the end of it. Because it's always a cartel. There's no man is in isolation in that system. Everybody just take what they need to take and just leave the rest of us, battling with the problem. So that's the
Really sad.
yeah.
From fuel issue, we are moving over to the next paper we have on our lineup this morning, and that is Nigerian Tribune. Let's see what Nigerian Tribune is saying this midweek.
Carry
Carry gates. Police NDLEA may clash over indicted officials. Carry gates. Police NDLEA may clash over indicted officials. Agency will probe allegations is red herring, says NDLEA. Investigators agree carry orders. IGP's IRT, SROS satellite units not disbanded. Investigations. Wow. It's a story that has practically blown the internet since 2 days ago
Yeah.
over this Abakari's issue.
It's that story is very very unfortunate. It was quite devastating when it came. It hit quite a lot of people very hard. And people like us, I personally submitted a letter at the American embassy in defense of Kerry when that issue started, because we were feeling this guy has done so much in the system. When you talk about kidnapping, when you talk about banditry, when you talk about armed robbery, virtually every facet of criminal world in Nigeria, you will find one or two of his footprints there.
Yes.
Even though in the past there have been allegations against him, even while he was even in service, how he do some soft landing for notorious kidnappers in the southeast, where he confiscates some of their own properties without the knowledge of the authorities, and you understand, and gets his own agents to sell them. But of course, we've always with that, with just it's one of those things. We can't be in that kind of position without having some scandals coming in intentionally by people to just malign your image. But I do not expect it. Why it was so disappointing is you would think that a cop who has that kind of profile, who will always go into the criminal mind, because you cannot achieve what he achieved without going into the criminal mind to actually know how a criminal thinks, so that you'll be able to arrest him, will also fall victim of this kind of thing. How can he allow himself? You are under suspension, and then you go ahead, you make yourself so visibly seen around negotiations for these are known the drug barons, who have a cartel of how they operate over time, and you claim that, oh, well, okay, this thing started in 2021 and all of that. It's really sad that you can even get yourself involved with drug deals in the first place. You are a cop that everybody is looking up to in Nigeria. That, yeah, I think we still have some people who can give hope to young Nigerians that you can actually be a police officer and distinguish yourself. And then you, of all people, with the dent on your image, you have not been able, that people are still struggling to make sure that they dust you out of it. You went ahead and started doing deals and you see, one of his major problems has actually been that he became all of a sudden a clout chaser. You're seeing all over social media. There is no intelligent cop that does that. You need to keep a low profile. He himself should know better that most of the criminals that have been arrested by them is because they became clout chasers. They became very visible on social media.
That is what I want to say.
You understand?
Do you think something like that perhaps it was overestimated? Because given the fact that the way he fed so cheaply,
Yes.
at least somebody that has been dealing with, just like you pointed out, drug barons, cabals, and all those stuff, that he himself could be visibly
I think
present in negotiations and all those stuff. I mean, what happened?
Yes, I think in the final analysis, you will just conclude that, well, he was being overestimated. He's not as intelligent as people think. Maybe he has some other intelligence officers working with him. You understand? I mean, once you have a good team, you as the leader of the team takes the shine a lot of the time. Maybe he has very intelligent officers who are younger, who are actually not up to his rank and all of that, not the ones leading the team, who are making him to shine to that extent. But ordinarily, this has shown that he's not as intelligent as people think, or people have rated him to be. Really, it's really sad.
Because even a common an average Nigerian will not fall so cheaply.
You understand?
Actually, come out to negotiate.
You are negotiating with somebody who was never your friend at any point. You just place a phone call to him, introduce yourself as Abakari, because you believe that once they drop your name anywhere, everybody will be intimidated or will start shivering. That oh wow, it's Abakari. But you should know that everybody who is intelligent will also want to caution themselves to say, Abakari that has done so is the one calling me to negotiate on behalf of drug baron. Are you sure it's not a means to actually rope me into something? Because a very intelligent officer, even though he doesn't have the mind to do that, will want to think that Abakari was the one. Maybe that's the tactics he uses to nail other people he's been nailing in the past. Those criminals he's been arresting. Perhaps maybe this is employed to arrest me. So let me quickly go to the office and report myself. That this is the conversation. You understand? Because before somebody will come and put me into trouble. So really, he should have been thinking in this line, in this direction, to not involve himself in this kind of thing. It's really unfortunate. And I tell you, this actually shows that at every level, at every cadre of the security outfits in Nigeria, you find people like Abakari who are actually benefiting from what people thought they're actually fighting.
Yes.
Just yesterday, we saw how EFCC brought out the list of properties belonging to a Nigerian military officer, a serving general in the Nigerian military, worth more than 10 billion naira. So many filling stations. These are people that we keep clapping for, we keep tweeting about them, we keep praising in the social media, talking how we need to change our mentality. The psyche of Nigerian youth needs to change. How do every successful youth in Nigeria wants to even have a shot, a picture with Abakari, even after this issue of hush puppy involvement? We saw how he went to the wedding of the IGP. I sat down where I was and I hit my hand, my hand on the table. How can the IGP allow Abakari to come to his son's wedding? It shouldn't have happened in the first place, because you are said to be apart from that, the IGP is the one who constituted the panel to investigate him. How can you allow the person you are investigating to come to your son's wedding? It sends so many signals to the society. You cannot say that. Even if you have that good relationship with him, you just tell him that no, don't come to that wedding, because what the people will be thinking will be different. You understand? Even if I'm not biased, it will be shown that I'm biased. Really. So quite a lot of things are just wrong with our system, that you begin to think that really, I mean, hope is each time you feel it's getting closer to you. Some people just do some things and make it get far away again, because if people in this class will be involved in things like this, you just start shaking your head that, so who else is left in the system to sanitize the
Now,
system?
you mentioned the issue of the general that was found with the
Yeah,
parties about over
10
10
billion
billion
naira.
naira. Now, the general is still in service.
It's
He has
still
not
is
prosecuted,
what I found
and he
very
has not
funny.
even been named. They say unnamed source.
That I found very, very appalling and very nauseating. How that somebody who the court has forfeited this, gotten a
You
forfeiture
are still
order,
shielding
and you are
him.
shielding him. How powerful can this kind of person be that you cannot name him? He's not a governor to talk about immunity. So really, we are just not a serious people in Nigeria, and this is what the kind of things we keep getting all the time. We're just not serious. I do not even think, because I'm sure there's no how Mr. President will say he has not read about it. Somebody told me this morning, a journalist said he heard that it's an aid to the NSA. Well, let it
But
be.
they say it's director of finance.
Whatever it is, let them come out and just mention his name. I exonerate themselves that he's not actually fronting for the NSA or is he fronting for anybody in the presidency. I refusal to do that means they all know about it. Whatever they are doing, they should come clear about it.
All right, thank you so much. Now back to this same Carry Gate. Now, police and NDLEA, they are heading for a face-off. What is happening?
Well,
Police is insisting that the indicted them.
it's expected. First, I need to tell you that it takes a very bold person at the helm of affairs, like we saw in NDLA, to actually take the bold step that
Yes.
General Buba Marwa took. I tell you why it takes a very bold person. You will know that in Abakari's case, there are people at the top who are sympathetic to his cause, who feel, no, you shouldn't let this guy down. You understand? An ordinary person that does not have the boldness of General Buba Marwa will not want to probe or go into investigating or roping or whatever it is that you want to talk about Abakari, that what happened in that place. They will never, and that video wouldn't have been in the public ear, even if they do, because the man will also be afraid of the people who are backing, because for this guy to be under suspension, and yet it's still an issue of debate between the police service commission and the force headquarters itself, and whether rejecting of the extradition or even the report of the investigation. It's been back and forth. This person rejected it, saying go and do another thorough job and everything. You must know Abakari has willed so much power around himself. So it takes somebody like General Buba Marwa that will actually, look people like that in the face and say, no, I don't care who you are. You need to go down for this. And so it's expected. The police agency, because there are four other officers who are serving in the Nigerian police who also were arrested with Abakari. So the Nigerian police is also trying to come out to say, no. It's not like it's only our officers that are bad, because the way NDLA is trying to paint us is as if we are the only people. There are also NDLE officers in the thing. And, the NDLA is saying it's just a red herring. This is just a distraction, But I think the police is also being stupid by issuing this kind of statements, because what you should have been doing at this time is to also be working, get your own men. Even when you arrested them, get the names of the NDLA officers who are arrested. Come out with names and with evidence of when this happened, or finish your investigation and come out with, but not when this happened, and then you begin to make allegations that are baseless. Because the NDLA had shown you professionalism, that we didn't just mention anybody's name. We have done thorough job. We've gone beyond recording voices. We made videos. So go ahead and do a thorough job and come out and stop making blatant or baseless allegations. So really, this is professionalism. This is standard for anybody to go. Stop making baseless accusations about anything. I'm not surprised. Nobody will be surprised if there are NDLA officers, but stop just talking from every part of your mouth as if you are not a professional in the job. The police should have everybody's dossier in Nigeria. When you are looking for any criminal or when you are trying to investigate anybody, they should be saddled with the responsibility of producing those kind of reports in 24 hours. If the police is here just issuing statements about NDLA officers without being substantive evidence against it, actually does not show professionalism, and that is just being unprofessional.
Yes. Thank you so much, Samala. Now, what is actually wrong with our police? Because during the infamous Aneni saga then in Edo State, the armed robber that was terrorizing the whole of Edo State. It was also a police officer, Yamu, that was fingered. That was fingered to be supplying them with arms, information, and everything. So, what is really happening with our Nigerian
Well,
police?
it's so many things are wrong with the Nigerian police system. I think the first I would say is that I think they are being underpaid. You know, you cannot have people in that class not being taken good care of. But besides that, they also have not actually helped to build the image of the police. I know a lot of drivers would rather prefer to meet a policeman on the road than to see a road safety officer or VIO officer on the road. You understand? Because they still feel, even though those ones too, they have corrupt officers, but it's not as bad as the Nigerian police. Every Nigerian police you see on the road, you will know that this one will collect bribe. It has never failed the drivers before. They know if it's police, just give him something. And because you see, there's a ladder, there's a chain of the proceeds of corruption. It is alleged that every checkpoint you see in Nigeria, they are giving returns somewhere. You understand? So that is the chain. So these are part of the things that are wrong with the Nigerian police. The Nigerian police, they do not, if you're looking for any organization that do not trust each other, the first you can pick is the Nigerian police. This officer does not trust the other officer. I've worked closely with them during one of the IGs. I don't want to mention name. I also even went ahead to clear two mopol that were attached to us because we were doing a project at the time and we needed to sign at their office. I think it was in Area 10 at that time. I've forgotten the squadron's number they call it at the time. And then I was signing two mopol out to work with our outfit. And the man, their commandant, told me that he will not allow them to take their guns home. When they want to resume to work in the morning, they come to Area 10 to pick their guns. When they close in the evening, they come and drop the guns. So the officers complained to me that please, I should help to talk to the man because it's not easy for them to always go to Area 10 before resuming for work. And I went in there to talk to him. He said, Oga, you can't understand. These people, they are all criminals. A police officer will take gun home. He will come back to the office the next morning and tell you that when he went to the toilet, by the time he came back, he couldn't find his gun. And a lot of times they are the one giving the armed robbers, giving criminals. They even have some arrangement that they rent those guns out to criminals, and they collect either daily or weekly proceeds from the rent of those guns to these criminals. You know, so there's a hell lot of issues around that. And is it people seeing what is happening in the system also are joining not because they are patriotic, not because they want to go and change the system. They are joining because they also want to be a partaker of the proceed of the system. You understand? So it's also difficult for you now to stop the man, the young man who is saying, I want to go and start collecting Roja too, to now stop him from collecting that Roja when he gets into the system. Because that was his notion before coming in.
Years ago, a cousin saw when we were still going to Liberia for a common peacekeeping. As they were boarding the flight, my cousin saw one of the police officers that was boarding. He said, look at this guy. He was a armed robber in Edo State then. And I saw this guy literally join the police force. Oh my God, he said, oh God, you can imagine what he's going to do in Liberia.
You understand?
He's going to terrorize them. He's going to steal, plunder Liberia by the time he comes back.
It's always like that.
What is really
you see, just to add credence to that is there was a time sometimes back, and also a SARS officer in Lagos who was notorious for actually busting armed robbery cartels and arresting them. He was even in Abuja a couple of times because they have a cartel that steals cars in Lagos to come sell them in Abuja and all of that. So he was coming often to do arrests. And then eventually one day, one of the guys involved, who was a car dealer in Abuja, who had close relationship with him because he once arrested him, now said the guy has also been arrested. What happened? In the line of his duty, he also put up a team of boys who are robbing cars for him. You understand? So I think another unit of the SARS in maybe Port Harcourt or somewhere arrested some boys for car robbery, and then they started investigating the cars they have stolen, and then one way or the other it was traced to some of this man's boys, and then they mention his name, that he is the one who actually put them together. You know, from people who he once arrested, put them together, also equip them with guns, and then each car they stole a vehicle, they report to him, he tells them where to take it to and all of that. So really, the system, everything is wrong with the system, and it really need serious. We need to look seriously into that aspect of the system to know what kind of people you want to send there to actually go and reform that place. There's need for total restructure. Even the SARS that we thought, oh, okay,
Yes.
it was when we eventually found out they just changed the name from SARS to IRT. You hear of SRS. Later, some people came and say no, they later disband them. Now there are investigations to say it was never disbanded. You understand? They're still operating. Nothing. If you go to abattoir there in Guzape, nothing has changed from the days of SARS till now. The officers have not been changed. Nobody has changed. No, any structure has been changed. Everything still remains the way it is. What has just changed is just the name. You understand? And that's what we have all the time in the system.
And you know, the audit carried out recently by the auditor.
Auditor General of Federation, yeah.
It's thought that over 100,000 rifles are missing from the police.
That is
So
even the ones they
you
can account
can
for.
imagine these guns in the hands of criminals, and we are wondering why criminality is so high today
Yeah,
in
it's
Nigeria.
one of the easiest things to get actually is just to lay your hands on ammunition in Nigeria illegally. It's not a rocket science. Once you have your money, you can get it anywhere. I mean, if it's stark illiterates like the bandits, now terrorists in the northwest, can actually get it as if they are buying biro in the market.
Yes.
So how much more enlightened people? So really, it's not a big deal. It's one of the easiest things to actually lay your hands on.
And no heads ruled, no query was issued.
No, because
And
if
the police
heads are
just
going to be ruled,
just kept
if
quiet.
heads are going to be ruled, then it will affect even the unexpected. Just like we're saying what's happening to Abakari now. Who would ever think that he can even go stoop as low as getting involved in a drug cartel? You know, you would think that he will just end it at the hush puppy scandal. But
Yes,
of course,
and lie
with
low.
this one, even Buhari cannot bring him out of this mess. You know.
It's really, really sad and pathetic. Well, viewers, we are going on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the last paper we have for review this month. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. The program is Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. My name remains Winifred Ubebo, and of course, my guest in-house is a public affairs analyst, Samela Musa. Samela, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
And I hope you know that.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have the last paper on our menu for review this morning, and that is The Nation. The Nation says Buhari governors meeting on APC convention fails to hold. Buhari governors meeting on APC convention fails to hold. President gets list of chairman aspirants. Uzodinma Ayade, party can shift convention if necessary. Samela, this APC convention has become an albatross that most people wish could go away. Unfortunately, it's not something that can be wished away. What is going to happen? What are your presentations?
You see, the fault, before you even start talking about any other person, the number one person to take the fault is the president.
Yeah.
We've never had it this bad in the history of democracy in this country. That a sitting president, a sitting ruling party, a ruling party with a sitting president, and everybody seems to be doing their thing. There no any coordination from the center, no nothing. I mean, this should just be expected of the opposition. You can, if PDP is having so many crises, you will always attribute it to because they are out of power. There is no single individual to be respected that can talk to this party and that party, and everybody will fall into line. But APC with a sitting president, because the reason is simple, very simple. The president are also I mean, always shown indifferent about any affairs of the party. He doesn't show like he's interested. He doesn't show he's interested in having grooming a successor. You know, he doesn't care what happens. So, and that's why quite a lot of people have also brought up some analysis in the past to say they do not even see a Buhari going to any campaign ground, raising anybody's hand to say this is the next president of Nigeria or something. You know, and that is so being self-centered. One of the qualities of good leadership is to groom a successor.
Yes.
And if you show you don't care, it means this was all you always wanted all your life. Your 8 years, and it has been given to you, and you want to exit and even live deeper, sink the party that give you that opportunity, sink it into deeper mess than ever. You know, even though we've always known that the party is actually came together around him.
Yes.
You know, once he leaves the place.
Bedfellows came together.
Yeah, he is the only,
so
you know,
their common enemy.
You understand? And once he leaves the place, of course, we all know we don't see APC remaining as one. But even in the interim, that he's still in power, and your party is actually preparing to go into an election, except if they have an ulterior motive. If there is maybe they have another plan B to say, well, we keep doing this, we keep dribbling people until when it's late, and then we couldn't meet up with INEC deadline, and then in the long run we just declare an interim government, and when it is time for this man to hand over, he brings in an interim government to say this government is the one to come do the needful. But it will be quite unfortunate, because whatever they do as a ruling party or did not do has a way of affecting the rest of us.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
They're going to alter so many things. The dates of election is going to be altered. The handing over date is going to be altered. So many things is going to go wrong from their own inefficiency in office. Then secondly is, you see, this party chairmanship of a thing, they have so many factions. There is that, you know, block of perhaps maybe the Yahaya Bello, who wants the presidency to come to North Central so that he can be supported to, you know, contest that election or to win the primaries eventually. It's also not rooting for a North Central man to clinch the ticket of the chairmanship, because automatically the two of them cannot be in the same zone.
Yes.
You know, and there are other zones. You see, there is this block of the governors who also, what they are scheming is that whoever is going to emerge as the president will have to come between their fold. They lamented that they suffered so much in having access to a Buhari because it's not within their age bracket. They are not contemporaries in any way. So you have to lobby and lobby before you can see the president. They don't want that to happen again. You want somebody who will be within their fold in such a way that they have easy access. That rapport has been there and all of that, you know, to continue to run things. And then there's another block who actually are more interested in the vice president slot. That block is actually the one that started pushing for a Jonathan, so that lobby in Jonathan, let him come, let the president accept him, give him, he can't spend more than 1 term in office. So if he does that within us, he will already know that we are the one who schemed for him. As he's going in, the VP will come from amongst us, so that when he's leaving after 4 years, one of us will replace him. You understand? So those are the blocks, and these people, out of scheming for their own interest, might make this whole thing to collapse in the long run. Whatever APC has built in the past, they might just throw it in the garbage, and that will be very most unfortunate if that happens. But the most important thing is that whatever they are doing, they should make sure that none of these programs, the INEC programs on election, is being affected in any way.
Yeah. So closely tied to this APC convention is still the same issue of electoral amendment B.
Yes.
It's about how many days now? The president is still yet to assent to it.
Honestly, it's another sad thing that is happening right now, because so many people have actually came out to advocate for, well, if we had advocated for the bill to be signed, and the president came out on channels to say, well, the excuse why he's not signing it is the direct primary or not indirect primary. Fine. People have said, well, expunge that clause from from the bill. Signed, there are so many other lofty content in that bill that will be that will tailor us towards having a more credible election than we even had. And even for somebody like Mr. President, who actually became a beneficiary of a credible system that brought him into power, should be looking at ways to strengthen that system better than the way what he met on ground or whatever brought him to power. But unfortunately, he's playing to the gallery, being under pressure by who I don't really know. And up till now, he's still keeping mute about it. It's sad, really.
Sad.
Yeah.
So, peradventure, the convention, APC convention, does not hold on the 26th. So, what happens?
Of course, they will tell you that they are at liberty to shift the date. But I need to also check again, because I know, what's it called? INEC gave deadline to some things, primary activity. I mean, the parties' activities. So I need to know what happens there. But in this case, the worst case scenario is for them to come up with a consensus candidate for the chairmanship, and just go towards what PDP also did.
One Sani Musa,
yeah, Sani Musa, yes, from Niger. Yeah, that's a Sani 313. So that's the only thing. If they couldn't go into that convention, they must come up with a consensus candidate. You understand? Maybe toe the line of the PDP, but I think INEC also needs to be very firm not to tolerate any nonsense from anybody, be it ruling party or whoever. You must stick to the timeline given.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, we have reviewed all the papers we have on our menu this morning on this side. Mr. Samela, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. I want to thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, yeah.
So viewers, this will call it a day on today's Inside Nigeria. Tomorrow is another day. Don't forget to keep a date with us. I remain Winifred. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.